Okay, back to it. I apologise for that. So I know that there was a couple of people watching the stream before. There was a mess up on the stream. As I said, it was a few minutes. It seems ridiculous. I'm talking about quality control, and then the bloody video's going like this. So I'm not willing to let it continue doing that. So I apologise for messing you around, but it just really gets on my wick. So let's get straight back to it. Let's talk about some. So we just talked about ISO 9000 on the last video. Let's talk about some production control stuff. All right. So production control. This is the method of ensuring that standards set actually and the process designed to meet these targets are actually being used in the workplace. So it's not only that we're saying that we're going to do them; it's actually physically doing them as well. The production control has now spread from the manufacturing industry to the service industries, and they've found a new home in call centres. So it can come across as quite Orwellian in the sense that it can come across as quite restrictive and sometimes just too much. Like I know people who work in call centers, and I know that the issues that they've had working there, and it doesn't sound like it's a nice place to work. And a lot of it comes from the production control stuff that they've implemented. So it's good in a way because it does reduce costs, and it's a good way of assuring that quality and things like that. But it does put a hell of a lot more pressure on the workers and the workforce in general, and it's not really a positive. It's definitely a hard HR thing. It's definitely not a positive way of dealing with your employees. You're kind of assuming they're all trying to get away with doing nothing. Sort of, Theory X kind of workers. Anyway, so it says each worker will have a requirement to answer calls in a specific period of time, spend a certain amount of time on each call, and achieve a targeted level of sales. So information technology, or IT, allows the performance of each worker to be monitored, and any variation from the required standards and targets to be responded to by management. Workers will be retrained to ensure that the standards can be met. Now, this is because of some legal issues. I know that, the stuff like GDPR and what do they call it, data protection and stuff like that. That is a massive issue, and I understand that that's why a lot of companies do this thing, and there is a legal requirement for them to keep track of stuff, so you know that you don't want some legal challenge coming to you because a customer says that someone on a phone said something, so they record it. But companies have gone silly with it. They start recording how many times you go to the bathroom and how long you are in the bathroom and stuff like that, and it comes across as a bit extreme after a little while. So production control can be a really good way of ensuring that that quality is there, because we can monitor it, but you don't want to overly monitor things, because if you overly monitor them, you're going to suffer other things. You will start to reduce stuff like loyalty from your workers, and just sort of see the negative side of it, really. Let's go back onto this. That's what happens if I press it on this screen, but not if I press it on this screen. So another one we can do is benchmarking. Now, I don't know if you remember benchmarking, but benchmarking is looking at the best in class, the best at something, the best in the industry, something like that is currently going on, and trying to work towards that. So find out what the issue is in your own company. So it says here, identify what the company needs to benchmark. All right. So let's say that there was a company that said, well, we're making pies, but I don't think we're not outputting the same as our competitors. The competitors are able to output pies at a much more efficient rate than we are. So how are they doing that? Well, one of the things they can do is they can benchmark. So what they'll do is they can identify the issue with it and say, well, production doesn't seem to be as good as it could be, efficiency or capacity utilization or whatever it is that we're talking about. Then we can choose the company to benchmark against. In terms of this, a lot of the time it's usually, although it's supposed to be the best in class, the best company that we can find information on, a lot of the time it will be the people who are the easiest to find as well, because it's difficult to find out information about companies' production schedules and things like that, because they don't want to tell you. They don't want to be sharing the competitive advantage with you, do they? So we can gather or exchange information. Perhaps we could work with others, but if it's competitors, it's unlikely we're going to be able to do that. We could probably find it from somewhere else. Analyze data using quantitative methods, and use the information to form objectives and monitor their achievements. So it's very much like like a lot of things with aims and objectives, where there's no point of setting aims and objectives if we don't regularly follow up on them. But it's very difficult to manage expectations and manage performance if we're not checking regularly what people are doing, essentially. So if I don't set my students targets, then I can't say then, oh, well, have they achieved their target? Well, I don't know, because I haven't set them anything. So it's important. That's why every week in my class, we set a target of what we're going to be working on the next week with the exam prep stuff that we do. So it's good technique to do if you're interested in that kind of stuff. So total quality management. So total quality management is the umbrella term for this. All right. So it is a collection of 4 different processes, but there is also other processes which are sometimes known under the name Total Quality Management, or TQM. But basically, the premise of Total Quality Management is to look at each part of the process of the production, all the way from the supplier, all the way to the retailer, all the way to the right to the actual person getting the product, and the after sales as well, and make sure that there is a quality experience and quality coming through each part of it. So a couple of things which it talks about is quality chains. This ensures quality from the supplier throughout the production process all the way to the delivery for customers. Quality assurance, checking products are correctly made throughout the process. We've got quality circles, empowering workers to actively seek better ways to produce. Do you remember what we called them as well? Quality circles is very much like Kaizen, isn't it? Continuous improvement, that idea that keep going round, keep checking, keep making small improvements to the way that we do things. And then finally, we've got quality control as well, a final end check that ensure products are of suitable standard for the customer. So we could match quality assurance and quality control together, really, wouldn't we? If we wanted quality control as just at the end, but quality assurance is all the way through. You don't necessarily need an end check. You don't need an end check any more than you would at any other part if you're doing quality assurance. But the main thing that the total quality management is talking about is those quality chains, of making sure at every point in the production process that we're getting good quality from everyone, good quality from good quality from our suppliers, good quality from our production, good quality from our retail, good quality from our delivery, good quality from our after sales. So to give the best experience to the consumer. So outcomes. Hopefully this will lead to 0 defects. If we do it effectively, we can actually literally get rid of wastage, because that means there'll be no finished products that don't meet the demands of the consumer or will not be fit for purpose. Therefore, they're all good quality. That means there is no waste. Doesn't take into account things that we need the demand for it, don't we? And remember, demand is about being willing and able to purchase a product in terms of this. But if you have that, remember that's good AO4. It assumes that you have the demand for it. But if you do have the demand for it, then potentially you could have 0 defects. 0 returns as well. This is more likely, isn't it? Customers always receive the correct product working and on time. Now, the only thing about this is you can never truly guarantee 0 returns, even if you do use total quality management, and that's because there can be other things at play, can't they? Like someone changing their mind, or someone, getting the wrong one, or ordering the wrong one, or blah, blah, blah. There could be a number of things, you never know. Like Asda telling the suppliers that they're not going to pay them for all the stuff they've done because suddenly there's been a global pandemic and stuff like that. Yes, all right. It's crazy, the situation, though, isn't it, in sometimes? So what are quality circles? Just before we finish, I want to talk about quality circles. What is a quality circle? Very much like Kaizen. Quality Circle is a discussion group which meets regularly to identify quality problems, consider alternative solutions, and recommend a suitable outcome for management, employees from a variety of levels of the organisation, and it's a voluntary group. All right. Now, we called these Kaizen groups as well, if you remember, when we're talking about production and improving quality and things like that. We were talking about... we talked about it as Kaizen groups. Well, Kaizen groups and quality circles are extremely similar. It's basically people getting together, but it's got to be voluntary. It's got to be in company time, and companies have got to, the employees have got to trust the company that they are going to enact some of the stuff that they say, to actually bother to do it, because it's not something that you don't get paid extra to do this. But quality circles can be really good because you're actually getting people on the ground who are doing the work to give you recommendations, which can be very, very helpful. Benefits: they may be able to improve current practices within the business, making it more efficient. Remember, the best people to ask are the people actually doing the job. It's interestingly enough, they don't ask you. When the company, if the college I work for has an issue with the way that they do something, they don't come and ask the business department what we would suggest. they deal with it themselves. But if there's an issue with accounting, they don't go and ask the accountant. If there's an issue, and it's an interesting one, that, isn't it? If they're trying to deal with psychology of students, they don't go and speak to people who've got masters in psychology, which is strange, because it sometimes is that management think that they know more about a subject than you, and they might do, but because of their experience or something like that. But a lot of the time, they're not asking the people on the ground floor what, even if it's actually to do with the job itself, they're not actually asking them what they believe. It can be an issue one to do it, isn't it? Introduce ideas that will save the company money or improve sales. Yeah. Motivates workers by involving them in directly improving the nature of the work they're doing. Remember, but they've got to have that. We talked about expectancy theory ages ago. We're going to talk about it again, but it's all about making sure that employees feel confident that you're actually going to do what you said you were going to do as well. Now, for each one, explain specifically how or why this may lead to better quality. Okay, we're just going to run these through really, really quickly. Feel free to pause the video off here and just have a go by yourself before I have a go, and then just compare your answers with mine. So I'll just give you a second to pause. Okay, let's go through them. So he says, defining clearly the needs of internal and external customers. Why would that lead to better quality? Well, if we know, then we can satisfy those needs more effectively, and we know that that is part of good quality. The definition of quality being satisfying the needs of consumers and being fit for purpose as well. So we need to know what they want. Setting appropriate quality targets and monitoring them. If we want to be able to consistently improve quality and check back on ourselves and check whether we've actually achieved what we said we were going to, we're going to have to set aims and objectives in the first place, aren't we? Introducing a total quality management approach. Why is that going to help? Well, because it's at every process, everything from the suppliers all the way through to the person actually physically getting the product, and after sales as well. We're guaranteeing the quality at every point, so it's something that we want to be passionate about. Can really improve quality. That ensuring resources are available to meet the targets. You can't ask for these things if you're not given the ability to actually produce these things. It's going to be very difficult for people to do it, and I think this is a good example of it, isn't it? Teachers all around the world are trying to do lessons and things which they've no experience of doing. I've never had experience of doing this. It's just I can talk for England, so it's no issue for me to be talking to an empty room, because it's like I'm talking to an audience anyway, isn't it? But I can understand a hell of a lot of people not wanting to be on video, not feeling confident about it, and things like that. So you've got to be able to provide them with the resources and training to actually do it, and to be able to provide good quality. Working with suppliers, remember we talked about that before, didn't we? So it's really important to be able to get good quality, get those economies of scale, and if you're using just in time as well, to get that connection so that you're going to get the products at the right time, and things like that. Ongoing program of target setting and monitoring. This is very similar to your aims, but this is like more on the ground floor, but actually on projects. So actually physically develop the techniques, physically develop the projects themselves to actually include ways of tracking data. Can really help you satisfy these needs and things like that. Reward systems for those achieving better quality, or giving really good examples and things. If we remember, we've got to be able to say, when we're talking about Kaizen, we said, didn't we, we had to be confident about job security, that people will not actively do themselves out of a job, even if it helps the business. They're not going to actively go out of their way to try and give you a piece of information that will actually make themselves redundant, although it would make the business more efficient. Efficiency leads to job losses, because that makes, efficiency literally is the physical implementation of things which would require less work, isn't it? So it's a negative thing. So we've got to be confident that as employees, if we give good information and we get rewarded, that we don't want to lose our jobs as well. Training and motivated workforce. We've already talked about that. But aim for zero defects. Hopefully that's pretty obvious now why that's so important. Very, very little waste and lower returns, and cell production for self-checking teams. We mentioned that, didn't we, about why it's so important, and the benefits of that can be seen on the previous video. Okay, so final summary. A quality product is one that meets the customer requirements and is fit for purpose. To ensure this happens, businesses may develop a total quality management approach. This is quality assurance. Remember, it's not just quality control, because quality control only checks at the end, whereas quality assurance checks at every stage. This means that everyone within the organisation seeks to prevent mistakes from occurring. This is different from an approach which seeks to find mistakes that have already occurred, quality control, because that assumes that there are going to be issues. By managing effectively and improving quality, a business can increase its competitiveness. To improve quality, managers must decide what needs to be improved, how much it needs to be improved, and how the best way to improve it. Oh, that was going to be impressive if I did it right. So, what's that at? How long have we been? So about, just under 50 minutes? We've done all right there. Remember, these are basically revision things, so we're not doing for the first time. I hope it helps you out if you are talking about the first time and the explanations. But I know I'm very quickly, go through things very quick, and because I'm pre-assuming some knowledge, I'm pre-assuming that this is revision rather than for the first time. But it's the basic premise, isn't it? It gets you the main stuff, enough to be able to talk about it and things like that, and then hopefully you can go away, do some revision, do an exam paper and things like that, and get it marked, and hopefully it'll help you out. We're gonna have a little look at the news. Okay, let's have a look at the news. So, good old Boris is back, isn't it? Let's just redo it just to check that it's not. So, Boris Johnson, he's going to make an announcement later on today. Let's have a look at what he's going to say. Boris Johnson has chaired a cabinet meeting and will later lead the daily coronavirus briefing for the first time since his return to work. Blah, blah, blah. He said, "We're the fight against the disease and the steps we are taking to defeat it." He was unlikely to give chapter and verse on lifting the restrictions. Yes, he won't. I don't know why people are still getting funny about this. He said the latest figures show that it's embarrassing, isn't it? They've said that they wanted to do 100,000 daily virus tests, and they're nowhere near it. They're not even. They're just past half. Pretty confident the government will hit the target, but warned if there was a lag in the data. Yeah, there would be a lag in the data. Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? But anyway, let's not get hung up on that. We're thinking about that, aren't we? Let's have a look at this one. So it says, BA may not reopen at Gatwick once pandemic passes. British Airways has told staff in Gatwick airport operation may not open after the coronavirus pandemic passes. The admission came in a memo written by the head of BA's Gatwick hub and seen by BBC News. BA's Gatwick operation, which is currently suspended, is roughly a fifth as big as its Heathrow hub. In a separate letter to pilots, BA said that it cannot rule out suspending the rest of the Heathrow operation. In a letter, it says it notes that some of its rivals aboard are facing tough competition. It adds that a quarter of BA's 4,300 pilots are set to lose their jobs. This is crazy. Remember, this is what I was talking about, people not understanding that we are going to be living in a different world when we come out of this. It will not be forever. Things will bounce back, but it will not be overnight. And people who are going out of, people who are dropping out of college now to go and get a job, I think it's an insane time to do it. Do not, if you've got a job, hold on to it. If you are in education, hold on to it, because there is no guarantee at the minute. We just don't know what's going to happen, and we need to be holding on to that form of revenue and things from yourself. So that's not good, is it? The pilots union Balpa said it was devastated at the news and vowed to fight every single job cut. Yeah, we talked about these yesterday as well, and it is an issue, isn't it? They're just trying to cost cut because it is genuinely a risk to the overall company. So we'll look at this one. I don't know why I'm on sort of coronavirus. We'll look at business news in a second, but let's have a look. It says NHS has set out plans for the second phase of the epidemic, including stepping up non-COVID-19 urgent services over the next 6 weeks as it attempts to return to normal. Its urgent outpatient appointments could go ahead as routine surgery can be restarted, but GPs are encouraged to continue to use online consultations. Regular testing will be offered to all staff. Yeah. It says that the pressure on many staff will remain unprecedented. I agree. I think it is. I think it is on everyone. I don't think people are really taking it, and I think it's showing how selfish some people are when they are when they're thinking of people to blame in this situation. Well, it must be the teacher's fault. Oh yeah, they're not doing enough. Oh, it's this fault. Oh, it's this fault. Well, I think that people are really trying to do what they can, and to say they're not doing is absolutely outrageous. Yeah, that is annoying about Sainsbury's stuff, isn't it? In terms of Sainsbury's queues, it is frustrating. What's this one? Elon Musk, what's he doing? Says here, demand for Tesla's electric cars held up in the first 3 months of the year, despite upheavals caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Quarterly revenues jumped 30% for the last year for 5.9 billion, allowing the firm to turn a small profit of 16 million. That shows how much they're. You remember we were talking about between gross profit and net profit. It shows how much the crazy costs they're actually implementing here, isn't it? It's the third quarterly profit in a row for the company, making a turnaround after years of losses. But Tesla said forced shutdowns and limits on deliveries had clouded its forecast for the coming months. Frankly, I would call it forcibly imprisoning people in their homes against their constitutional rights. That's my opinion. Tesla boss Elon Musk said, who were being opposed to the lockdown measures, told investors in an earnings call, it will cause great harm not to just to Tesla but to many firms. While Tesla will weather the storm, there are many small companies that will not. It's a good point, isn't he? He's making a good point, but I just completely disagree with him about the severity of it. It's like he's ignoring the severity of the situation and not understanding that it's people's lives here. You know, and all people, everything they've worked for their whole lives has been destroyed in real time. We're going to have many suppliers that are going to land on super hard times, especially the small ones. It's causing a lot of strife in people. It's definitely right. Let's do one more before we finish. Let's see this. Was that something about Amazon? What's this? The US blacklists 5 Amazon foreign websites. It says 5 of the online retail giants Amazon's foreign websites have been placed on a blacklist by Trump administration. Its e-commerce platforms in the UK, Germany, France, India and Canada have been added to a notorious markets register. The US Trade Representative's Office said that the sites facilitated the sale of counterfeit and pirated products. Amazon said the move was politically motivated and it has invested heavily to prevent illegal activities. The Trade Representative's Office said it would adding of the Amazon sites was the result of complaints from the US businesses over the sale of fake goods. Yeah, right. It's more like competition. While the list carries no legal weight, it puts a spotlight on the companies included on it, especially when they are household names like Amazon. Amazon described the inclusion of its sites as a political act motivated by Donald Trump's apparent dislike of Jeff Bezos, its founder and chief executive. It's purely political act and another example of the administration using the US government to advance a personal vendetta against Amazon, said in a statement. The online shopping giant also said that it's made significant investments into technology to stop counterfeit products from being sold on its platforms. It says, we are an active, engaged stakeholder in the fight against counterfeit, an Amazon spokesperson said. Because in the past, Mr. Trump has said that Amazon doesn't pay enough in taxes. We'll change the law then. Last year, Amazon challenged the US Department of Defense in court after being passed over for a £10 billion Pentagon cloud computing contract, which went to Microsoft. The deal is currently being blocked while federal judges investigate the claim. So it sounds like, ladies and gents, Amazon and the US government, including Donald Trump, are at loggerheads. But yeah, it is a worry, isn't it, that Amazon is becoming so, becoming so powerful, that they are so powerful and they continue to be so powerful as well. Thank you very much for joining with me and dealing with the issues that we had today. I will reset the internet again before the stream tomorrow just to check that everything's online, everything like that. I hope you are well. I hope you are keeping well. Keep yourself safe. Do some work. And I will see you all at 10 a.m. tomorrow, which will be Friday, the end of the week. And, time for a little dance. All right. Peace.